The Darjeeling Limited is a 2007 drama film directed by Wes Anderson, and starring Owen Wilson, Adrien Brody, and Jason Schwartzman. It was written by Anderson, Schwartzman, and Roman Coppola. The film also features Waris Ahluwalia, Amara Karan, Barbet Schroeder, and Anjelica Huston, with Natalie Portman, Camilla Rutherford, Irrfan Khan and Bill Murray in cameo roles. Plot: a businessman in India fails to catch his train as it pulls out of a station. He is beaten to it by a younger man, Peter Whitman, who is carrying heavy luggage. Peter reunites with his brothers Francis and Jack on the luxury train called the Darjeeling Limited, which is traveling across India. The brothers have not seen each other since their father's funeral. Francis, the oldest of the three brothers, has planned their journey in advance. The journey is supposed to culminate in a reunion with their mother, but Francis tells his brothers that they are making the journey for spiritual self-discovery. He tells them of a motorcycle crash in which he was, explaining the bandages on his head. He reveals that he technically died in the incident, and wants to reconnect with his brothers. His brothers are not convinced of this, and get annoyed with Francis' controlling behaviors, a trait shown to be inherited from their mother. The three mistrust one another. With his assistant Brendan's help, Francis draws up an itinerary for the trip and takes his brothers' passports to prevent them from getting off the train too early. The youngest Whitman, Jack, has written a short story which is similar to his own life, but he denies the similarities. He obsessively listens to the messages on his ex-girlfriend's answering machine at every train stop. Moreover, he has a fling with the train stewardess Rita, whom Francis nicknames Sweet Lime for the drinks she offers. Peter, the middle brother, justifies his keeping many of his late father's possessions by claiming that he was their father's favorite. His wife, Alice, is expecting a baby, but Peter fears that their relationship may end in divorce. In their trips through the Indian provinces, Francis has one of his loafers stolen by a shoeshine boy. Peter buys a cobra, which later escapes from its transport container. This escape results in the brothers being confined to their cabins in the train. Francis and Peter get into a fight over the latter being their father's favorite, and Jack uses pepper spray, trying to stop the fight. The train's chief steward, whom the three brothers have repeatedly annoyed, throws the three of them off the train with all their luggage. Jack is sad to leave Rita, who did not want to carry on her relationship with him before. She asks him what is wrong with him, and he replies that he is not sure, and will tell her the next time he sees her. On their way back to civilization, the brothers see three young boys fall into a river while attempting to pull a raft across it. Jack and Francis rescue two of the boys, but Peter fails to save the third, who dies. This affects Peter deeply. In the boys' small village, where nobody really speaks English, the three brothers spend the night and are befriended by the villagers. They attend the boys' funeral. In a flashback, the three brothers and Alice are in a car, going to their father's funeral. They stop to pick up their father's Porsche from the repair shop, but the car is not ready, so the brothers leave. They find a suitcase of his things in the trunk. It is revealed that their father's death was a result of him getting hit by a car, and that their mother did not attend the funeral. During their time at the repair shop, the three brothers, as they're grieving, get into a confrontation with a truck driver. Jack forgoes his father's funeral and impulsively skips town for Paris. Back in the present, the Whitmans get on a bus, which takes them from the village to the airport. However, they rip up their tickets and decide to go visit their mother. She is a nun at a Christian abbey in India. The reunion is very emotional and the family is reunited for a time. The next morning, the three brothers find that their mother has left, after leaving the boys their breakfast. They find out that apparently, she leaves for a while sometimes. On the way back, the three brothers run for a train, and jettison all their baggage on the railway line as they and some porters run after the train. Jack reads his new short story, and gives in, accepting that it is representative of his own life. Francis wants to give the passports back to his brothers, but the brothers decide that the passports are safer with him. Hotel Chevalier. Anderson also wrote and directed the 2007 short film Hotel Chevalier, starring Jason Schwartzman and Natalie Portman. The 13-minute film acts as a prologue to the Darjeeling Limited. In it, Jack's ex-girlfriend turns up unexpectedly at his hotel room in Paris, and they spend the night together. Originally attached to festival screenings of the Darjeeling Limited, it was removed during the limited theatrical release and instead made available on Apple Incorporated's iTunes Store as a free download. On October 26, 2007, Hotel Chevalier was removed from iTunes in favor of releasing it in theaters with a wide release of the Darjeeling Limited. Cast: Owen Wilson as Francis Whitman, Adrien Brody as Peter Whitman, Jason Schwartzman as Jack Whitman, Anjelica Huston as Sister Patricia Whitman, Waris Ahluwalia as the Chief Steward, Amara Karan as Rita, Natalie Portman as Jack's ex, Wallace Wolodarski as Brendan, Bill Murray as the businessman, Camilla Rutherford as Alice Whitman, Barbet Schroeder as the mechanic, Irrfan Khan as the father. Themes and motifs: the Darjeeling Limited includes many of Anderson's signature themes and styles, such as despair, abandonment, sibling relationships, a privileged class who rarely work, and timeless fashions and props. Anderson has revealed that The River by Jean Renoir, the films of Satyajit Ray and documentaries on India by Louis Moore were his inspirations for this movie. The film was dedicated to Satyajit Ray and makes allusions to him and his work. Production, locations: much of the film was shot in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. The Himalaya scenes were shot in Udaipur, and the opening scene of the film was also shot on the streets of Jodhpur. The international airport shown near the end is the old terminal building of Udaipur Airport. The scenes set in New York were shot in Long Island City. Music: the soundtrack features 3 songs by The Kinks, Powerman, Strangers, and This Time Tomorrow, all from the 1970 album, Lola vs. Powerman and the Money Go Round, Part 1, as well as Play with Fire by the Rolling Stones. Where Do You Go To by Peter Sarstedt is prominently featured as well, being played within the film more than once. Most of the album, however, features film score music composed by Bengali filmmaker Satyajit Ray, Merchant Ivory Films, and other artists from Indian cinema. Director Wes Anderson has said that it was Satyajit Ray's movies that made him want to come to India. The works include Cheru's theme, from Ray's 1964 film, Charulata, film score cues by Shankar Jaikishan and classic works by Claude Debussy and Ludwig van Beethoven. The film ends with the 1969 song O Champs a Permil Liza, copyright is by French singer Joe Dassin, who was the son of blacklisted American director Jules Dassin. Release: The Darjeeling Limited made its world premiere on September 3, 2007 at the Venice Film Festival, where it was in competition for the Golden Lion and won the Little Golden Lion. The film's North American premiere was on September 28, 2007 at the 45th Annual New York Film Festival, where it was the opening film. It then opened in a limited commercial release in North America on October 5, 2007. The film opened across North America on October 26, 2007 and in the UK on November 23, 2007, in both territories preceded in showings by Hotel Chevalier. The film grossed $134,938 in 2 theaters in its opening weekend for an average of $67,469 for each theater. The film was released on DVD February 26, 2008 on Fox Searchlight, with features limited to a behind-the-scenes documentary, theatrical trailer, and the inclusion of Hotel Chevalier. The film was re-released by the Criterion Collection on October 12, 2010 on both DVD and Blu-ray, the latter being the film's first release on the format. Critical reception: the film received generally favorable reviews. As of April 2014, on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, 68% of critics gave the film positive reviews, based on 188 reviews, with a consensus among critics that the film will satisfy Wes Anderson fans. On Metacritic, the film had an average score of 67 out of 100, based on 35 reviews. The film has a rating of 7.2 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. Chris Cabin of FilmCritic.com gave the film 4 stars out of 5 and described Anderson's film as the auteur's best work to date. Entertainment Weekly film critic Lisa Schwartzman gave the film a B+, and said this is psychological as well as stylistic familiar territory for Anderson after Rushmore won the Royal Tenenbaums. But there's a startling new maturity in Darjeeling, a compassion for the larger world that busts the confines of the filmmaker's miniaturist instincts. A.O. Scott of the New York Times said that the film is unstintingly fussy, vain and self-regarding. But it is also a treasure, an odd, flawed, but nonetheless beautifully handmade object as apt to win affection as to provoke annoyance. You might say that it has sentimental value. Timothy Knight of Reel.com gave the film 3 stars out of 4 and said although the Darjeeling Limited pales in comparison to Anderson's best film, Rushmore, it's still a vast improvement over his last, and worst film, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Nathan Lee of The Village Voice wrote a companion piece to Tenenbaums More Than a Step in New Directions. Darjeeling is a movie about people trapped in themselves and what it takes to get free. A movie, quite literally, about letting go of your baggage. The Christian Science Monitor critic Peter Rayner said Wes Anderson doesn't make movies like anybody else, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes not. His latest, The Darjeeling Limited, combines what's best and worst about him. New York Magazine critic David Edelstein said that the film is hit and miss, but its tone of lyric melancholy is remarkably sustained. Nick Skigger of Slant magazine gave the film 2 stars out of 4 and said the ingredients that have increasingly defined Wes Anderson's films seem, with the Darjeeling Limited, to have become something like limitations. Emmanuel Levy gave the film a C, and said going to India and collaborating with 2 new writers do little to invigorate or re-energize director Wes Anderson in the Darjeeling Limited, because he imposes the same themes, self-conscious approach, and serio-comic sensibility of his previous films on the new one, confining his 3 lost brothers not only within his limited world, but also within a limited space, a train compartment. Levy also said after reaching a nadir with his last feature, the $50 million Folly The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou, Sick, which was an artistic and commercial flop, Anderson could only go upward. Dana Stevens of Slate magazine wrote, maybe Anderson needs to shoot someone else's screenplay, to get outside his own head for a while and into another's sensibility. It's telling that his funniest and liveliest recent work was a commercial for American Express. Carl Smith of the New York Post gave the film 11 2 stars out of 4 and said at a stage in Anderson's unregistered trademark-esque career when he should be moving on, he is instead circling back. Glenn Kenny of Premiere named it the 5th best film of 2007, and Mike Russell of The Oregonian named it the 8th best film of 2007. References. External links, The Darjeeling Limited at Fox Searchlight, The Darjeeling Limited at the Internet Movie Database, The Darjeeling Limited at Rotten Tomatoes, The Darjeeling Limited at Box Office Mojo.